So happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Life. This is your host, Patricia Watson. I have something so special prepared for you today. I have a very special guest. He's an author, he's a spiritual teacher, and he's a physician, Dr. Russell Clayton. So make sure that you turn off all your devices, pay attention, share this out, because if you're looking for some peace today and just some time where you're going to be incredibly moved, now's your time. So stay tuned. Well, happy Friday, Dr. Russell Clayton.
Hello, everybody.
Happy Friday and welcome to Life. I am so honored to have you here. Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Patricia. It's my pleasure to be here. And hello to anybody that's watching this. Get ready. Put on your seatbelt because we're going for a ride. Let's go.
Let's go. I love that. I got your message last night. It said, let's go. And I was like, yes, let's go. I cannot tell you, Dr. Russell, well, I've been following you for a very long time. And before I was telling you just before we came on to the show, I didn't realize that you were an author as well of multiple books. So, and I found that out, and I was like, his post, everything is just so inspiring. And it always seemed that every time you had something that was posted, it was always near and dear to me. It always was at the appropriate time or something that I needed. So what is it that inspired you to start that whole process? And just tell the audience, I'm overwhelmed with joy, so pardon me if I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm still trying to calibrate that I'm here with you. So
it's so pleasurable to be here. In terms of my pathway to becoming an author or a spiritual teacher, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Well, that was a very unusual path. I would never guess that I would be here right now. The only thing, I have to go back to the very beginning, because the very beginning in Chicago, Illinois, on the South Side, I just wanted to be a doctor as a boy. It was my boyhood dream. And I studied hard. I believed that everything was possible if you could master your mind. And I tried to pour as much knowledge into my head as possible. Mm-hmm. I learned a great deal. I read a lot of books. And obviously, I succeeded on my journey to become a doctor and a surgeon. And for the most part of my life, I stayed in my mind. And it really wasn't until, I would say, about 15 years ago when I met my wife, my now wife, Olivia, which really changed my entire world. In my previous relationships, I admit I was a serial dater. I thought that relationships were the one thing that could get in the way of what I was here to accomplish. And when I met Olivia, that relationship started as all the other relationships. And about 1 year in, we broke up.
Oh, wow.
And the breakup was really hard. It was really devastating for the both of us. And we only stayed apart for 3 days. We could not be without each other. We got back 3 days later, and she asked me to marry her.
Oh, wow.
And it was because of that level of commitment that I committed to, not the marriage itself, but it was a level of communication. It was a level of honesty. It was a level of vulnerability. And when I opened my heart to be vulnerable to her, mm-hmm. It literally opened my heart like a sinkhole. And our love started becoming deeper and deeper and deeper until we began a spiritual partnership. And it began to inspire me at all different levels of my own consciousness, of my goals. She rooted for me. She cheered for me. She cried with me. We did everything together. And truly, she was my inspiration for a spiritual transformation. The hole in my heart and the depth became so large that I was able to pour big doses of gratitude and compassion and love, and not just love for her, but I believe love for all humanity.
Mm.
And it was then that I became the writer, the author, the teacher, the being that I'm here today. So really, I owe it to love. Love is the most powerful
Mm.
force in the universe. It's here to change people. And if we can find a way to love ourselves deeply, you don't need a partner to do this. You can do it yourself. And so self-love, and it's available to us. And it changed my life, and it can change anyone's life who's willing to accept it and who's willing to go there.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. When you speak of love, for people who don't quite understand, Dr. Russell, just the simple concept of loving themselves, what is your recommendation, or what did you find on your journey, even with that transition when you were away from your now wife for 3 days? Did you have that self-love for yourself at that time, or is that something that you grew into? And what do you recommend, or what is a suggestion that you have for someone that is in that space and they don't have that support system available?
Yes, I think I was raised by a very loving family, and I always had loving people around me, and friendships. And I was very fortunate in that way. And um, I I suffered some in my childhood too, which I think helped me to love myself more.
Mhm.
When I was in sixth grade, I suffered second and third degree burns to my entire face in a bad science experiment.
Wow.
And it was a long road to recovery. And in that journey, I learned that it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside.
Yeah.
Um, it only matters what you're holding on the inside.
Mm.
And I had another unfortunate accident in eighth grade. I was hit by a car going 40 miles an hour,
Wow.
and I didn't suffer a scratch.
Wow.
I was riding a bike, and I realized that the only reason I probably survived that was because I was here for a higher purpose.
Mm.
And all I felt was that I had to get out of my own way,
Yeah.
but I truly valued life more than ever from that point on. And I never had a problem with my confidence level or my ability to self heal, if you will, from the stressors of life. But in my openness, some people were not born into loving families. Some people don't have the opportunities that I did, and some people don't have the relationships that I did. And and so from that level of compassion, I teach.
Mm. Wow. That's so powerful. When we can go in and truly look into what inspires us and what we're supposed to do at a soul level, not a superficial level, not a level of where we're codependent on the thoughts and opinions of other people, right? To be able just to look at us and to understand that, that is incredibly powerful. When you started teaching, had you graduated from medical school? Had you been married yet? What was that
No,
process? How did that halt?
really, into my 40s, I was really still into my ego-based mind. I was still into me. Um, I had a series of serious relationships, but couldn't get over the hump. in
Mm-hmm.
order to find that quality spiritual love. And 15 years ago, I met my wife, Olivia, and she changed my life. We were together, we were able to find a spiritual union where trust and communication, and most of all, vulnerability within
Mm.
each other. I had loved before, but I had never been vulnerable. We had a short breakup, and I realized that if I was going to go anywhere, and I knew she was the one, I knew she was the one, that I would have to be vulnerable to being hurt. And
Right.
so I opened my heart, and we united our journey. She's my soulmate.
Mm.
From that point, I was vulnerability is the door that love comes through. It's so difficult, so easy to say and so difficult to do. But I was willing to do that, and so was she. And that really propelled my spiritual journey late in life, relatively. Like I said, I would never expect that I would be the one here. I was content being a healer of patients,
Right.
content with fixing the body when it was broken, content with doing surgery and patting myself on the back and saying, good
Yeah.
job. But in my road in medicine, I became unsatisfied with just spending 15 minutes with someone, taking out a lump or a bump on their body or doing major surgery. It was very gratifying. However, what happened was, I realized how much emotional pain that people were suffering. And I wanted to touch that energy and try to heal that energy, not in one person, but many. And so I'm able to do that through my writings. And that's very, very gratifying to me. And I'm very grateful to be in this opportunity in this space.
That's incredible. It is so, so powerful. When you are working with people, are you working individually or are you working with people as a collective? What's your process now that you're on this side of the healing, as a physician, but as a spiritual healer as well?
Well, I don't think it's limited. I believe that it's unlimited. I believe that I try to touch everyone as a healer every single day, each interaction.
Mhm.
It's I see 30 to 40 patients a day, and with each of them I realize that there's an energy exchange, even if it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 1 hour. And so I definitely try to make an impact that way. I do have private clients as well, which is very gratifying.
Mm.
To be honest, my biggest gratification is just to throw my work out into the universe. And when I hear back from someone who writes to me, it's incredible. And healing virtual people without physically touching them. And when I say healing, I mean just touching their soul and
Right.
activating the healer in them. You see, we're
Yeah.
all healers. We're all healers. We've been healing since the day we were born. You heal when you just smile at the person at the gas station. You
Right.
heal when you say hello to a stranger in an elevator. You don't know what people are suffering.
Right.
And so we're all healers. And then my purpose became activating the healer in everyone. And that's essentially my work as of today.
That is so incredible. I mean, I know for myself, and I was telling you earlier,
Hi,
I've been
Prudence. Hi,
following,
Prudence. I got to
yeah,
say hello to my friend. Hi, Prudence.
we have Prudence, Debbie, Tom. I don't think I missed anyone on here. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Make sure you share this out. It's really powerful. And Debbie says, smiling is healing bomb. I want to go over just a few of the comments. Tom says, always leave those we encounter in a better place. Spirit, let's see here. Where's the one? Yeah. Give me just a second. There was I wanted the one for spirit. Prudence. She says, your spirit nudged you. Healing is deeper than the physical. Incredible. So, and I know that you have, inspired me as well, just with your posts. Everything was always positive. And I got to where I kind of know your marketing, whether it was intentional or not intentional. Whenever I would see certain posts, I'm like, I know that's Dr. Russell. And then I would when I would scroll, I would look for those specifically because I knew there was going to be power behind those, right? And so I'm just really grateful for you, Dr. Russell, for all the work that you do on the medical side and all the work that you're doing on the physical side from the healing side of things as well. I want to tell everyone that if we can kind of shift for just a minute, Dr. Russell, his latest book is Love and Healing. And I highly recommend that you get this book. It blew my mind away when I received it. So I told you earlier, I wasn't expecting so much in it. And one of the things that I always like to do is, like, when I get a book, I like to just open it up to see where it falls, because typically almost 100%, it's always in alignment with something that I need. And if you don't mind, I would like to share what I opened up to as part of me receiving this beautiful gift from you. So I opened the book up and it went to page 94, and it was basically it went straight to the bold part. It's called The Cheat Code for Life. And the cheat code for life is love.
L-O-V-E. The cheat code for life is love. What we have to understand is that love is the most powerful force in the universe. It can heal virtually any situation that you're in, a situation of conflict, a situation of stress, a situation of concern, your health, because after all, love is the energy that we contain in our sacred hearts. It's what we were born with. It's an aspect of source. We're all divine emanations of love, of source energy. And to the best of my ability, in the words that I'm able to produce, it is that of the Creator, the energy of the Creator. And so when we tap into that energy, anything is possible. Anything that we set our minds to. And it's an invisible force, but when you call upon it, it activates and multiplies its power. So in my life is fueled by love. My purpose is to become a more loving human being every single day. My purpose and my passion is to deliver that energy to other people, to inspire them, to awaken the inner source energy inside of you. If you can align with that energy, we achieve what? We achieve our true potential. How many people actually reach their potential?
Right.
Literally, we talk ourselves out of it due to fear.
Right.
And we all practice this. The only person that's standing in the way of what you and your dreams have is yourself. If you can get yourself out of the way, meaning ego, mind, emotions, thoughts, then what comes bubbling up like a fountain inside of you is that beautiful, beautiful, loving energy of your sacred heart.
Right.
So I'm a love warrior.
I feel it.
I'm a love warrior. I believe in the power of love.
Yeah.
And love can heal any situation.
I have one of your fans, Miss Flora Ann Smith. She says, "You have truly touched my soul through your daily posts. Some days it's what got me through the day. I love you."
I love you too, Flora. I love you beyond words. And I send you all the healing and blessings that you deserve in your enormous heart. And I pray for you.
Wow, I'm recalibrating here, Dr. Russell. This is really powerful because the message is so powerful. It's something, that I believe and feel that people take for granted when they say, "Oh, I love you." It's almost a repetitive, just a casual canned statement. But if you really stop and think and stop and look and say, what do I really love? What does that really mean? and then sit with that and let that resonate with you, right? It's going to open up a whole new level and a whole new paradigm of things, because love is right in front of us. This is love. This interaction is love, right? You were mentioning earlier about connecting with, your fan base and the people that you love and care about, just because we have the ability to have this beautiful technology to be able to connect. And that's love, and to bring that platform that is bringing us together in a unification, right? So it's just really so powerful. What have you found has been some of the biggest challenges when you speak of love, as you're doing the, and understanding the energy exchange with, whether it's your clients or with your patients? Are you finding that they are open to that because of the gentle, beautiful energy that you bring, or does it trigger a lot? What have you found has been some of the maybe challenges, or are they open to that new energy?
Well, even though we all originate from love and we all have that ability inside of us, sometimes people's life experiences have hardened them against love. They've not had good experiences, whether it be parental during their childhood, whether it be relationships which ended in failure. Mm-hmm. And people get hardened. And so not everyone is open to the concept. I have certain people who I'm close to that said they can't be around me anymore. And this was hard for me to take because there was too much love surrounding me. My children, my home, my positivity, my attitude, and they couldn't translate that into their own life and chose to separate from me. So it's not a given fact that everyone can just jump into a positive, loving mental attitude. But what I will say is everyone has the potential to activate the highest form of love inside of themselves. It is a choice every day after you wake up, which thoughts you entertain into your mind, which thoughts you cling to, which emotions you do, which actions you procreate, in order to see how you practice love. So this is an important concept. To say I love you is great to someone, but how do we practice love? Love is a spiritual practice. If you want to be good at basketball, you shoot hoops. Right. If you want to be good at gaming, you game a lot. You want to be good at playing the piano, you play the piano. Well, if you want to be good at love, then you must practice love. And love practice starts with how you love yourself. How we love ourselves creates the energy, the frequency for love to come back to you. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find a loving world unless you're giving love to the world. It's reciprocal. And so from that standpoint, I think it was part of the reason for me writing books. In fact, Love and Healing gives you 70 exercises of self-love, self-care, to bring you into alignment with your mind, body, heart, and spirit. Mm-hmm. And from that alignment, the purpose of getting into alignment is what? It's to reach the present moment. Yeah. What's so important about the present moment? That's where love exists. That's where healing exists. That's where the fragrance of everything that we're looking for, including inner peace, exists in the present moment. If you can find that moment and align with source energy, then we're delivering the optimal frequency, the optimal energy, and we're attracting that same thing to us, which is, I think, our goal, right? We want to be the best version of ourselves. And I want to just add one thing. It's activation that's also very important. You have to activate your spirit in the morning. You have to be, alignment is an action. I choose to align every day when I wake up. Sharing a personal secret, it's in the shower, guys, okay? When that water hits me, I start my blessings. I start my gratitude. I start my prayer. I start my meditation. The energy of water is very powerful, and it creates that aliveness, and I ask for the spirit inside of me to be activated so that every single occurrence, in every single situation, in every single practice, whether it's surgery, delivering a baby, whatever it is I have to do, that I do so from my highest power. So I believe it's important to do that at the start of your day and not wait until you need it and you're asking from a lower vibration.
Right. Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting when you talk about the power of water too, because is it Dr. Emoto that had the hidden messages of water? And
Absolutely.
even when we drink water, so I've always practiced that, and it was reminded just this last week, you know, some of the things that I used to do every day, I may do it every other day or maybe once a week, because you kind of get out of practice. And I always would bless my water or before I consume it, right? And then I got that book, and it reminded me love and gratitude. So now love and gratitude, whenever, you know, I'm consuming water, I see water, I'm at a body of water at the park or at the ocean, it's like love and gratitude, because it's so powerful. And it was a wake up call for me, as you were mentioning, Dr. Russell, of it starts in the morning, and whatever you're doing, it takes practice and you have to do it. So that's one of my lessons that I've been very conscious of and mindful of late, to put into practice for myself, to doing that daily activity so that I can pour myself into myself and love and others. So it's really, thank you for that reminder.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You mentioned along that line with the daily activation, and there's steps that we have to take. I haven't read all of the book yet, but I was kind of skipping through chapters, and one of the chapters, it was talking about that dark secrets is a part of everyone's history. Can you share that and the impact of that? Because with those daily activities, I mean, that is a part of us that can come up. Can you share what inspired you to write that portion in the book and explain that in a little more detail from a spiritual sense?
Well, I think we all have a shadow, a part of us that contains our dark secrets, the things that we don't want anyone to know. Somewhere, at some point in our childhood, usually, there is an episode or incident that brings us a great deal of shame, a great deal of guilt, a great deal of regret, and perhaps we start blaming ourselves. And as children, we don't have the ability to process the events and circumstances and emotions at such a depth. And so we begin to cover them, and we begin to bury this dark aspect of our past. And we bury them in terms of addictions, things that make us feel good that only last temporarily. So one of the issues with food addiction, which leads to later life obesity. Mm-hmm. I personally am an emotional eater. When I'm stressed, I eat, and I don't eat healthy, and I'm working on it. But a part of, I know what gets certain people who are emotional eaters. But then later on, as we have more access to more things than alcohol and drugs and gambling and some of the negative addictions, there are many addictions, and I certainly haven't named them all, that we use to cover up our emotional pain. And it lies dormant inside of us, and it really prevents us from being our total self. We can't get to our potential or to the land of abundance and joy in our dreams by being fragmented. So what we have to do is we have to integrate that shadow self in. We have to honor those feelings. We have to explore those feelings, and it requires self-exploration. It requires self-inquiry. And these words that I'm using are not just words, they're actually journeys, layers to life that people can use to get to their higher self, to the best version of themselves, to the greater you. And so it's something that I had to do with my own self. It's something I continue to do. So people call it healing your inner child, addressing your shadow. I'm not the first person to bring up these concepts,
Mm-hmm.
but I am highlighting them in the importance of our own human consciousness if we're talking about being the best version of ourselves. So the idea is to integrate that shadow, honor your inner child, recognize those feelings, and bring it all together into one powerful force
Right.
to interact and exercise your dreams. We all want to accomplish our dreams, but we have to do the work in order to get to our potential to deliver those dreams. As Les Brown once said, graveyard is the richest thing in the world because that's where all dreams go to die.
Right.
So it's, to me, if you have a dream, and I believe we all do, and we want to work on it, then we have to work on ourselves, and that's integration and oneness.
Right. I have Tom, he says, forgiving yourself for your shortcomings is the path to healing, and forgive those who have stressed past us. Yeah.
I wish I had said that, Tom, but thank you for saying that. I couldn't agree more. So hard to forgive. So hard to forgive. We have to hold on to that as an excuse for not reaching our higher self. But truly, to love and to love others, we have to forgive ourselves and forgive those that have done things to us or things that we have done. I really like to say this. This is not just rhetoric. Every day when the sun rises, you have the new opportunity to invent yourself. You're reborn. And it gives us the opportunity to choose life, choose love all over again. So I urge people, it's not an overnight thing to heal yourself of whatever is really underneath your emotions. It's a process. And so once again, I really like being able to talk about these tools, these exercises to use to activate self-care in ourselves, because when we heal ourselves, then we can go out and heal the world.
Yeah, you know, it's really magnificent to hear and to be in alignment with like-minded people as well, right? Because as you learn and as you accept different modalities and understand teachings and are open to the teaching and being receptive to that, you know, it's very empowering as you grow in love as well, not only for others, but for yourself. And you look for it. It's like you go out and it's like, how can I make others feel good today? What can I do, right? How can I help? And there's something that's just so empowering that. And then when you've been doing that for a while and it's just such an automatic thing now, and you know that there's so much more room for expansion, how powerful is that? Have you found that to be true for yourself, Dr. Russell?
I think service and healing is my passion. And so I believe to serve humanity, we start from that place of giving. But also, in terms of our own spiritual journeys, there are some people that are such givers that they forget about themselves. And so it's also important to turn on the antenna, put the antenna up, and begin to feel and receive the energy from others, receiving a compliment. You tell some people, oh, I really like your hair, or I really like your dress. Oh, this is nothing. You know, I really need a different color. You know, some people find it very difficult to receive. Right. So it's very important also to activate that flow of energy, of putting energy out and also in bringing it in.
Yeah. So as you, I want to go back to this wonderful relationship that with your wife, as you all began that journey together, were you always in alignment? And then when it came to your children, and then in the space that you're in, coming into that self-development of love and healing, how were some of those transitions, if you're open to talking about some of those things?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. I think, you know, my wife, Olivia, as I mentioned earlier, is my soulmate.
Uh-huh.
So we tend to have similar goals and similar values, and we tend to exist as one. My wife would think 100% of the time, but sometimes I need my own space and silence and stillness, and so I retreat, and I'm sure she does too. But when we decided to raise a family, and we have four children, 2 boys and 2 girls, uh, I think our number one goal was to raise conscious children.
Mm.
So within this stressful world, we practice love in our home, and it's never been anything else but what we do. So I don't know any different. Um, the reason I selected Olivia, or we were chosen to meet, is because she has such an incredible heart.
Mm.
As a physician, sometimes we have to turn a cold heart to situations in order to cope with death,
Mm.
the tragedies that exist in the medical field. And so I noticed myself becoming a little less joyful at work as I absorbed all the hits that I would take from sick patients, and in my field, babies that didn't make it. Um, but her fountain of love was so deep, would always carry me back and refill my station to be able to remember that it's important to practice love, love our spouses, love our children, love our friends, love our family, and be active about our own self-care and spiritual practices. And that's been my way of doing things at home. Crazy with 4 kids running around, and hectic, but still within that time. My favorite question for my kids is when they're arguing and there's simply chaos around, I go, "Who's grateful?"
I love it.
And one of them will raise their hand. "I'm grateful." "Okay, tell me what you're grateful for." And they'll tell me what they're grateful for, which brings us to gratitude.
Mm.
So important. It's been talked about forever, but let's remember what gratitude does. Gratitude lifts our spirits, it shifts our frequency, and attracts abundance into our life. It takes the spotlight off of ourselves and gives it back to the universe.
Yeah.
And the universe feels that love and then reflects it back to you. The quickest change of my mood, no matter what it is to come into gratitude.
Mm.
And I'm thankful for being here today and sharing this time with you, Patricia.
Thank you. I am grateful as well. Like I said, it's just pinch me. I'm just so happy, and grateful because just to be at this point where I'm at in my life. And if you would have asked me a year ago, Dr. Russell, if I'd be doing something like this, I would literally say, "You're crazy. I'm not doing anything like that. I don't like social media. I don't want to be out there." But then, it comes to the point where it's bigger than you. And you have to answer that call of what you're supposed to do. So it's actually now has become a healing point for me that I get to share these wonderful people. I get to share the Dr. Russell, and all that he brings, so, how grateful, you can't get any more grateful than that, right? Because in this moment where we're at right now, this present moment, being here, connecting to our audience, there's nothing can be any more empowering than that, right?
I agree. And I want to remind you, Patricia, that there's a calling on your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so proud that you've answered the door.
Thank you.
You've opened the door and you've walked in. And boy, greatness is very scary. It's easy to live under the radar. It's easy to stay in our comfort zone. But I congratulate you for stepping out of your comfort zone, for answering the call, and for doing the work that's necessary in order to reach whatever it is your mission is. And it's, again, a pleasure for me to be here. It's not easy to answer the call of greatness. And as Les Brown said, we all have greatness inside of us.
Thank you, Dr. Russell. I really appreciate that. I'm grateful.
You're
yes. A lot of energy here, a lot of good love and energy. And, I am just hoping and honoring everyone that's here, that's listening. I hope you share this out, because that's something that you can do, right? We're here on this platform, but sharing that out, you never know, as you had mentioned, Dr. Russell, earlier, what people are going through. So simple sharing. I'm going to give you something positive. Maybe someone is not able to get out. Maybe they're just depressed. The mental capacity of how, or what the depths of the tricks that the mind can play on you, I have found, especially in the climate that we're in right now, is that people, they're looking for something. They don't have that support. They don't know what to do. So maybe it's something as simple as sharing this out to give them some inspiration, right, for the day. It doesn't have to be, lights on Broadway where, everything has to be, big and boisterous. Sometimes it's some of the simplest acts, maybe picking up the phone and calling someone. So I honor you being here and everything that you have shared. And, to be able to be also a father and raising 4 children in a conscious state. I mean, that's powerful, because most don't even think of that concept, that's something that can be done, right? Or maybe they haven't been exposed to that, and now they are. What is some of your, I guess, biggest challenges that you've had, and what's some of your biggest successes besides your family and besides that, but since you've been in this space, that you can share with us, that's really just, you were just like, wow, this is incredible?
Well, every day, honestly, presents a challenge to me. The world is very complicated. And until just a few months ago, Zoom was very intimidating to me. Skype was intimidating to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the COVID-19 pandemic has changed our lives forever.
Right.
So the challenges of being a parent, where you have to teach your children from home, homeschool, was huge over the last year and a half for my wife and myself. And the ability to step up and fill those spaces that the children need, and to educate our kids at home was challenging. But on the opposite side of the hurdle of each challenge is a reward. And the reward for us in terms of COVID was spending more time with each other, playing games, having fun. I'd like to just mention these therapies that are in Love and Healing.
Yes, absolutely.
Therapies, none of which I invented, but all of which I use for one to choose from. And actually we played games. We did play therapy. And as a family, that's something that I would recommend. When you play games, whether it's Scrabble, Monopoly, or whatever it is that you're playing, it activates that inner child in us and brings us into our true selves, where you can really find joy and really escape the pressures of life. And really, the reason I mentioned play therapy is because some people are taking life too serious. They're not doing the work. They're not doing the work to counterbalance the stresses of life. And so I know people that have been placed on medication for anxiety. I know people that have been placed on medication for bipolar disorder. I know people that have suffered illnesses that are stress related. I know people who've had heart attacks due to the stresses in their life. And so we have to find the therapeutic solution to dealing with the stressors of life. Play therapy is just one thing. But in the book, I think you'll find, we mentioned water therapy before, crystal therapy, nature therapy. Can we just talk about nature, the healing power of nature? Now, I'm going to give you my secret place, and it's very personal, but it's the beach. I know everyone doesn't have a beach wherever you live. I live in Los Angeles. We're fortunate to have hundreds of beaches. But if you don't have a beach, perhaps it's a lake, perhaps it's a river, perhaps it's a forest, perhaps it's a walk around the block. For me, if I'm stressed out, I go to the beach by myself, usually because I'm stressed out with 4 kids. I go by myself. I take off my socks. I
Mm,
take off my shoes. I sink my feet into the sand,
mm,
and I feel the magnetic energy of the earth coming up through the soles of my feet and
mm,
activating the healing powers within me. I look out into the vast environment of the ocean. I absorb its beauty. I try to count the waves.
mm,
That only happens for about 30 or 40 seconds.
mm,
After that, my mind gets overwhelmed. And what happens when we overwhelm our minds? Our minds relax. And suddenly, I'm at peace thinking about absolutely nothing.
yeah.
I look up to the sun, and the sun is our perfect earthly example of source energy. And I absorb the energy for the sun. I close my eyes, and I feel the radiant heat, and I feel the healing energy of the sun, and I absorb it into my body. And after that journey, a brief journey, it's a great breaker for me. And as I said, if you don't have a beach or ocean or lake or river by you, it can be somewhere else. It can be a park with your back
Mm,
up against a tree, feeling the energy, the 100-year-old energy of the tree that you're leaning on.
mm,
Don't just lean on the tree. Lean on the tree with intention to
mm,
absorb the wisdom, the experience, the life force that exists in this tree that was planted and grew from a tiny seed. But only broke through the soil through its own intention and through its own power. It can happen. But there's people out there literally that are losing their minds. You don't have to do that. Take a long look at life and what you have to do. There are journeys in life. My first book, The Greater You, dealt with the journey of spiritual awakening. It's not my journey. Buddha was the first human to awaken. I've learned from books. I've learned from movies. I've expanded my consciousness by listening to other experts like Dr. Dwayne Dyer, like
mm.
Deepak Chopra, like Abraham Hicks, like Muji, like
Yeah.
Bashar, like Marianne Williamson, people that have traveled this road before us. You don't have to reinvent the road, but the road is there for us to find inner peace. And you can't find inner peace off road. So if you need some assistance in going down through the depths, drilling down into the layers of your life, moving away from mind energy into the wisdom of the heart and what's
Mm,
for you in the sacred heart, then check out my first book, The Greater You, The Journey of Awakening, where I try to crystallize my own spiritual journey
mhm.
so that one could absorb this energy. And I hope to inspire someone who's listening out there, someone who's listening today, to find a deeper purpose for your life, to drill deeper, to look inside, to realize that staying as yourself, as who you are, is fine, to be in your convictions. But to open yourself up to change is truly the way to becoming a greater version of yourself.
Wow. So powerful. Nature, I am a nature junkie. That's my sacred space. That's my if I'm stressed, as long as I can get near a tree or some grass, doesn't really matter. It's so powerful. And it's almost, if you really just stop and listen and connect, and as you were talking about the waves, you could feel that, you could hear it when you're out in nature. You can hear the symphony of the insects, the crickets, the frogs, whatever is out there, the birds. You can hear them calling, talking to you. And I just think that this is, um, I'm just really happy that all of these different methods of coping are being shared today. I'm glad that and happy and grateful, Dr. Russell, for your time to be able to listen to yourself, to evolve, to bring the books, not books, to the forefront, right? It's a roadmap. I was telling you earlier, for people who maybe did not come from a good home or don't have the support, this book alone, right here, is really the roadmap, step by step, for things that the playful thing with games. You know, you can open this up, ask Spirit to say, what do I need today? Boom. It's, if you're intentful with that, it will show you exactly what you need. And I'm really grateful, grateful for this. I'm grateful for you standing in that gap and in that sacred space of being open. I want to acknowledge, I have a friend on here, Jen Fortune. She's from Hawaii. She lives in Hawaii.
Hi, Jen.
And she says that, and she's a wonderful photographer too, and she's captivated some really magnificent shots. And I know she loves the beach, so I wanted to make sure that I align with you because you like the beach as well, and every day at sunset. So she's in a beautiful, magical place, and very, very connected to spirit and source. So good afternoon, Jen. Glad you're here.
And Jen, I want to tell you, I just got back. I took my first vacation in 2 years with my family, and we went to Kauai, and it was amazing. So congratulations on choosing the most amazing place in the world to live. I had a marvelous time, and I want to just make sure that in all of the stressful, chaotic world that we live in, that we take some time, we take some vacation. I hadn't had a vacation in 2 years. And to be able to go to Hawaii and have an amazing time, to completely unplug from all of the rat race and the things that we have to keep up on the daily, was so therapeutic, not just for me, but for my wife and for my children. And I understand that people have jobs where they can't get away. I couldn't get away for 2 years. And maybe you don't have the type of job that could afford to get you on an airplane to go to Hawaii. But take some time off from work. Even if you just stay home and have a staycation. That's more therapeutic, to unplug for a while and reset and refresh. And it was so amazing for me. I pass it on to everyone right now. Take some time for yourself to relax and unplug.
Well, I felt like I was right there on vacation with you, between the boat rides and the dolphins and the diving and the yoga. And I was like, I literally dropped in. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I am right there. So again, thank you for sharing that. I mean, because it was, I wasn't there, but I was there, you know? And so I really appreciate all you do. It's really amazing.
That brings a great point. Whenever you're connected, consciousness isn't just reading a book about consciousness. Consciousness is about what we see with our eyes, what we hear, and what we experience, but also what we smell, what we taste. It's everything that expands our consciousness. And many, many times and often it comes from someone else. We don't have to experience helicopter skiing to have the exhilaration when we watch a video on YouTube. And by that same light, I understand you participating in my vacation. And that's the point, to be able to plug in to the things that are happening, that you're absorbing into our consciousness, to affect ourselves in a pleasant way. Mindful of, be careful who's around you and what type of energy you're absorbing. Because additionally to absorbing positive energy, negative energy can be absorbed in the same way.
Right.
The best thing I did was to walk away from certain relationships that were obstructing me from my physicality, not from my physicality, but from my spiritual journey. The best thing I did was to cut ties with people who were energy vampires, narcissists, that were stealing my energy and taking my energy, and I found myself exhausted and difficult to even answer the phone to be a friend. So we have to preserve ourselves. We have to set boundaries in this world, and we have to be careful of who we choose to allow in our space, because we absorb that energy.
Perfectly said. And that was a segue that I was going to ask you about. And there you have it. It's very powerful. I think, it leads to a little bit of codependency for people sometimes, though, because they feel like if they haven't had the new come to them for support or for those friendships, it's like, well, if I do this, what's going to happen, right? And they become a little bit of codependent on people that aren't good for them and that energy that's not good for them. But you have to trust the process.
Well, those people that aren't good for you, that you have a relationship, you're a victim. Mm-hmm. You're trauma bonded to them. There's an entire chapter in Love and Healing about breaking trauma bonds. There are relationships that aren't healthy, and we feel guilty because the people that are delivering this negative energy to us, let's say it's a narcissistic personality type, are experts at gaslighting to make you feel that you're the one that's not grateful. You're the one that's experiencing this negative. You're the cause of the negativity. And so this is where centering and grounding is very important, to know who you are and to stand in your light as a loving human being, and to know that happiness is your birthright and joy is your inheritance. We can't let anyone convince us that it's otherwise. So the chaos and the noise that's caused by outside distractions and outside people, the best thing you could do, in my opinion, is to leave those relationships alone. Healing from a trauma bond is very important. And it's very in-depth spirit steps that you have to take, and sometimes even requires professional counseling, but certainly can take some steps on your own. And the first step is to distance yourself and to be willing to walk away and to lose something that you thought was valuable, but was actually standing in your way. I have no problem loving everyone, but some people I have to love and send energy to from afar.
Right.
And they can stay there.
Right. Dr. Russell, do you know that we have already been on this show for 57 minutes, and it seems like we just started. That's
well,
incredible.
If I had a watch, and I don't wear a watch, I wear beads, I would be bound by time. But Patricia, may I tell you that I am no longer bound by time.
Okay.
Time doesn't have an effect on me.
Okay.
In fact, as we know from the journey of awakening, the goal is to become a lighter version of ourselves, to become that timeless self that exists inside of all of us. It's an infinite space inside of each of us. And the journey to awakening is a very deep journey inside. And we're no longer bound by time and space, that we're unlimited.
Yeah.
Because in that light, we become infinite. We become infinite selves. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for this opportunity to share my life, my story, and my teachings. And I want to end this by saying that I am a student of life first. I'm here to learn, and I've learned something from you and your light, and thank you for that.
My pleasure. And I want to leave the invitation open to come back again. If you feel so inclined to do so, I would love to have you back on the Welcome to Life show, because that's what it's all about. Welcome to life. This is life, this beautiful life that we're living, right? So I'm really honored. So I hope that everyone, I know that everyone has enjoyed this show, and I encourage you to share this out, impact someone, make somebody's life better by giving them some good news, and know that they are loved. I wish you all a happy Friday. Dr. Russell, if you would just stay on, I will finish this up, and then I'll come back.
Thank you. Love and healing to everyone.
Love and healing. So everyone, I am so excited. It was such a pleasure and honor to have Dr. Russell with us today. So I encourage you to be your best self, go back and just, listen to this, play it back, and see what resonates with you. And I want you guys to know that I love you. I appreciate you spending time with us today. And I hope you have a good Friday, peace and love, and a happy weekend. Bye-bye. Dr. Russell, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Wow. That was so powerful. My heart is full. Like literally, my whole body is buzzing right now. Literally, my whole body is buzzing right now. I can drop in so quickly. And one of the things that I've been mindful of, it's not that I want to suppress any emotions, but I know that I also have to, my intention is to make sure that I at least maintain my composure so that I can continue, right? But it's difficult sometimes because I've suppressed things for so long, and now being in this new awakening when my soul, it's like when you go to a springs. There's some beautiful springs in Arkansas, natural springs, and it doesn't stop. It just flows, 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 flows. Right. I was in Joshua Tree in February of this year, and there's a lady that owns some property up in the mountains, and there's natural springs literally on her property, 2 of them. And it never stops. So you could go out there at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning, which I did. Like the moon would wake me up, and it felt like I was supposed to go out there. And I was just looking and I was like, that's like my heart right now. It's like, I'm crying, but it's just floods of joy, and I ramble, as you can see, but I'm just really, I feel all of this, and I'm just really happy and grateful.
I support that. I'm happy you do. I'm happy you feel that way. It was very fulfilling on my end as well.
I'm getting all these text messages, and they're like, thank you for having this show. Thank you for Dr. Russell already. And we haven't even been off for like a couple minutes, So.
Well, I will share it on my page. If you send me a link or whatever you do send, I will share.
Thank you. I'm just, thank you so much. And I'm mindful. I bring up time just because I'm mindful of time for people who are taking time out of their day to have to get back to work. Like the guy in Australia last night, he had to get back to work, so I'm like, well, I'll take whatever you can give me. And so I try to honor that as well. So I'm very grateful for you, Dr. Russell. And thank you for sharing so much of your heart. Very powerful. And thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable too, because there was a time and place that this would never have happened. I wouldn't have showed anything. Would have been, thank you, sir.
Well, it's a new Patricia. It's a new day. It's a new life. And I can see that we're still live. So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone again. All right. And Patricia, love and light to you.
Love and light.
All right. Bye-bye.